This is another edition of the Stat Card interview series, and
today we get Darius Carter.
Today's guest is Darius Carter, just as you said, Matt.
I'm excited. I was actually thinking of doing the intro for today's show. Been thinking about it for a while.
Right, well,
maybe I'll take it next round.
Go, keep going. You got the ball, run with it.
Well, that's my partner, Kevin. That's my co-host. I'm Matt, as always. And welcome to the Stat Card interview, as you said. So Darius Carter has his faction, the Crusade for Change, which is pretty big, I would say. He's been in Beyond for a while. Also, I like what they do. It's very different from a lot of factions in the independent scene. I mean, I've had a lot of these guys as friends, but as far as promoting, I feel like these guys go above and beyond. Get it? Beyond. I feel like they go above and beyond to promote their product. I mean, constantly. Twitter, Facebook, it's little, what type of messages?
They're very interactive.
Yeah.
They're very interactive on social media, so they totally have that down. I know at the events, Crusade for Change is very influential. You know, they really get their way in a lot of the feuds and stuff. They get a lot of the last laughs. You know, they're kind of known for like ambushing their opponents and stuff and really humiliating them. So they're definitely a faction that's not to be messed with in Beyond Wrestling.
And they just picked up a huge win this past week. They picked up a huge win against...
Yeah, so they defeated Team Tremendous in addition to Colt Cabana and Dick Justice.
That was
in a three-way tag team match.
I'm trying to think of Colt Cabana. I couldn't remember his name.
And Darius Carter is also in the tournament for tomorrow, sort of first round singles tournament. But it was a fatal four-way along with Jay, Freddie, Tracy Williams, and Brian Fury. Brian Fury ended up winning it. He ended up winning the whole tournament. So if you're going to go down, might as well go down to the guy that wins the whole thing.
Yeah.
So, but I think on that note, let's just get the man on himself, and we'll ask away and get some of his thoughts on wrestling. So
definitely. I'll never get over seeing us in that screen, and that screen. Takes a couple of seconds to dial, huh? Connected.
I think so.
Would you like to leave a video message?
No thanks.
What is that, like a voicemail kind of?
I didn't realize Skype had voicemail.
I didn't either. Maybe that's when you have difficulty connecting.
I'm going to try ending it and call again.
Could do that. So, basically, this week on Raw, I'll save that for tomorrow. I don't want to bore you guys. My brother just signed on. Hopefully he doesn't call.
Oh, you better not call us during the show.
Yeah, meanwhile, I'll fix this this little camera here. There we go. It says, do you want to leave a video message? Try sending a text. Maybe text will work. So, usually when this stuff happens, it hasn't happened, but we did have an instance where the sound was coming out through a laptop and not through the TV. So, long story short, went through the settings, figured it out. It was a pretty funny story, though. That was Monday. It's definitely Beyond Wrestling is one of the better events, I would say. Just my thoughts on it. They're having their last show at FET, December 27th, so that's going to be pretty big. I know the Crusade for Change will be there as well. But like I was saying too about Darius Carter and GJ Marconi on Twitter, Facebook, and I know they have a couple of other guys on the group as well. They're just really good with Twitter, Facebook, interactive. Also, one of the things I like the most about them is that their promos are top notch. I mean, we saw that Facebook promo, the video on Facebook.
Yeah, that was a really good one. Wasn't that for Critical Acclaim.
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah, that was a really good promo by Darius Carter and TJ Marconi.
And we got the man of the hour. Oh, maybe we don't. So yeah, it was a real good promo.
There we go.
We got it.
Hey Darius, can you hear us?
I can hear you fine. I'm just trying to get the visual.
All right. So we got that part down. So welcome to the program. Thanks for coming on. Really appreciate it.
Thank you very much. I appreciate the extension, the invitation, if you will.
Yep, of course, anytime. So we were just talking about some of your accolades and discussing some of your accomplishments thus far in Beyond Wrestling, and specifically this past weekend, we're talking about Tournament for Tomorrow. We were highlighting that tag team victory that you had, along with your stable Crusade for Change, your partner TJ Marconi. You guys ended up defeating Team Tremendous and Colt Cabana and Dick Justice. So that has to be a huge win. Must feel nice coming out of the weekend with a big victory like that.
Oh, absolutely. And I was alluding to it really all day. It's really perfect timing how that happened. I mean, granted, you could say, of course, none of my Crusade for Change won the Tournament for Tomorrow 4, but really, are we not getting what we wanted anyway? I mean, look at the state of Beyond right now, the Fete finale. In 2016 is a mystery what's in store for Beyond Wrestling. This is because of Beyond Wrestling's own created issues. They're now suffering the consequences from for what they've created, really. Their own monster is really turning on them. So look at it like this. None of us were defeated. Not myself, not TJ Marconi, not Devin Blaze, not Tommy Trainwreck. And in the Tournament for Tomorrow 4 weekend, we beat the Tournament for Tomorrow 3 and Colt Cabana and Dick Justice.
Yeah, not bad. Definitely a nice weekend.
Yeah.
That's for sure. Although, if there's anything to frown upon, it might have been the first night. I think you did have a fatal four-way match, which did involve Brian Fury. He ended up picking up the victory, and he did end up going on to win the tournament. So, if you're going to go down to anybody, it might as well be the guy who ends up winning the whole thing.
And that's another way to think about it. And listen, we were Block A. We were the top block. So there's no insult. And again, it wasn't me that submitted. It wasn't me that was power bombed and put in the Boston Crab. I did not submit.
Yep.
So I didn't lose.
That's true. Yeah. Technically, there is that. Yeah. And that's the tricky thing too with a lot of those fatal four-way matches. Sometimes you can lose the match even though you weren't the one that was submitted or got the pinfall. So you can hang your head on that. That's true. So I gotta say, I know from the events that we've gone to for Beyond Wrestling, Crusade for Change has definitely come out on top a lot of nights. You guys have proven yourself to be a very powerful stable. You have your targets, you pinpoint them, and you just take them out. You don't give your opposition or your enemies really any opportunities to fight back. You just capitalize on them. So I think your stable is extremely powerful at this moment in time, and especially moving forward.
Well, I appreciate that, and again, it's all working out. It's all working out, and maybe that's why people, disdain me or they boo me. I'm a man that literally follows through on my word every single time. You can mock me, say I didn't win the tournament, but I get the result one way or the other. That's what makes me different than everybody else. We all succeeded in the tournament for tomorrow weekend. None of us were pinned, and we scored a major victory. A huge, huge victory. And you're right, we do continue to get these wins. Look at it like this. The Crusade gets stronger, and Beyond Wrestling, as we know it, is weaker.
Yep.
Look at it. It's like a scale. And it's tipping in our favor. It's a beautiful feeling. We've earned this. We've waited so long for this. 5 years. It's been a long time. Long time coming.
So your goal, what is your goal exactly for the Crusade of Change? What do you guys want to do within Beyond Wrestling?
we want to change Beyond Wrestling for the better, because you have to realize the way Beyond Wrestling was almost 6 years ago. Beyond Wrestling, started in a garage in Ohio, and we were wrestling in front of the wrestlers, competing in front of one another. It was that. It wasn't just that intimacy. It was the drive to succeed. We had a point system, and the man who had the most points got to face the quote unquote names, the neck roll butchers of the world at that time. You would get to face all of those marquee individuals. You had to earn that right. I believe a ranking system. If you're not going to have a championship, you should have a ranking system to weed out the weak from the strong. Survival of the fittest. And I think that's what made Beyond Wrestling so special. You had people coming from all over the country to compete for Beyond Wrestling just to get that 1 point. So I want to bring that back. We need to bring that focus on homegrown individuals. You don't need to bring in the Donovan Dijaks. And of course, Dijak's great, we all know, but you don't need to bring those type of guys in when you can build your own individuals that have been slaving for you and working, for 5+ years.
That's definitely a good way to put it, yeah. I was always wondering as well, like, why hasn't Beyond made, like, a world heavyweight title, for instance? And that would... You could also bring in guys like Dijak and stuff like that, but that would also... Having a title like that would also kind of give you guys something as well to, because you guys are pretty much original, so...
Sure, I mean, you can always support a championship. I'm not going to say don't bring in a championship. I'm one of those people that I want to wear it. I want to hold it over my head and take pictures, of course, things of that nature. But it's all about proving that you're the best, and you want a prize to advocate for that.
Yeah.
I think one of the biggest problems in Beyond Wrestling is people don't know what they're wrestling for. What does it matter if you win or lose? What's the objective? And I think that's lost upon it, and I think that's why Beyond is kind of straying and trying to find its way, because you have all these wrestlers coming from, again, all over the country, but we're just competing just to compete. I'm not one of those people. I don't wrestle just to wrestle. I wrestle to have, and not just wrestle to have the best match, I wrestle to win. I wrestle to succeed. I want to be the victor. It matters to me, winning and losing. And it should to everybody that is a professional wrestler. If you put on your gear, you should want to win, and you should want to win because there is a prize to capture, something to get out of being the victor. And I think that's one of the reasons why Beyond is struggling at this time. Where do you go? What do you do?
Yeah.
After you beat this person, what happens next?
So Darius, do you think you could maybe pinpoint a certain group or individual within Beyond Wrestling that you sort of view as being the problem? Maybe your top target at the moment?
Wow, interesting. There are a good deal of problems. They exist in different pockets in different ways. A JT Dunn is a problem, but he's a different type of problem than, say, Pazuzu, who is a different type of problem than, say, Matt Tremont. They're all different, but still problematic, because none of those individuals started in Beyond. And some of them used the name of Beyond and leached off of the name of Beyond to get to where they are today. Others were established and came in. That's one thing. It's another to attach yourself symbiotically to Beyond Wrestling. But instead of it's not a mutual. You're taking from Beyond more than you're giving. And there are people like that are on the roster. And they need to be targeted. They need to be eradicated. Pazuzu has been there for a long time as well. They're problematic in a different way. They're about chaos. They're about destruction, and the last thing Beyond needs is destruction. It needs order. So they're a different type of issue. Very, very interesting question.
I agree with you. I mean, there definitely needs to be some kind of order. also going on that, there are people that contribute to the problem. Would you say that, I don't know, would you say that there are people that aren't really a problem, that aren't in the crusade of change, but are also allies? Like, are there people, that wrestle in the promotion that stick by what you guys think and that stick by you guys, but they're not necessarily in the crusade for change?
See, this is a very good question, because I like how you're bobbing and weaving strategically. You're not just directly asking, and that earns my respect. That makes me want to answer a little bit better. Let's put it like this. I'm not gonna name names, but there are supporters. There are people in the locker room legitimately that, for example, let's say the Tournament for Tomorrow 316. That I've been talking about just because of that match with the Kimber Bombs. That's the only reason I mention it, because that was an excellent match in my career. I will acknowledge it for match quality and for how it felt being in there. But that tournament, when we didn't win, there were a lot of people in the back that were surprised that the Crusade didn't win. They were surprised, and I think that that was a day where you see some of the people that are supporting you, some of the people that do believe in your cause. There are definitely people that believe in the Crusade. They may not be particularly donning the mask at this time, but they understand what we're about. They understand our objective. Yeah. So absolutely, there is a group, a contingent of wrestlers that certainly believe in the Crusade, and there's people that want us burnt at the stake. We make life difficult for a lot of people. But at the same token, someone has to stand up for Beyond Wrestling. Someone has to stand up for the promotion and what it was built on. And no one's really doing that except for the Crusade for Change. That's what makes us unique.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, Darius.
Zuzu isn't standing up for Beyond.
Oh, no, yeah. The complete antithesis. They're more like
Correct.
Anarchists, in my opinion.
Correct. I don't want to fix it. It needs to be mended. It needs to be corrected. And you have to purge the plagues. And unfortunately, there's just a lot of plagues. There's a lot of viruses that are running rampant in Beyond's hardware, and it needs to be driven out. And that's what the Crusade is about.
Yeah. And I mean, I totally agree with the message, especially when you portray it this way. I think there's a lot of misunderstandings with live audiences. I mean, maybe they don't necessarily agree with the action that is being taken by Crusade for Change, the physical action, but I think that at least the mind thought, the mentality behind it is true, and it really reflects, your honor, because you have been with the company, like you said, for 6 years. So, I think it's really commendable in this day and age to really devote that much time to one organization and want to bring it back to its, golden age, per se.
Absolutely, and I do appreciate that. And in terms of how we do things and why we do things the way we do, that's where I'll never agree with the masses, because I'm not a pacifist. I'm not somebody that believes talking is always the way. You can't talk to some of these people. You can't talk to a virus. You can't talk to a contaminant. It has to be flushed. It has to be eliminated. And that is what we're doing. Of course, you're not going to like who we target. When we targeted Eric Corvus, who did it to himself when he turned me down and punched me in the mouth, by the way. That was his doing. But Eric Corvus, Ricky Shane Page, Davey Vega, Dave Cole, Anthony Stone, these people, they did it to themselves. These were originals that should have wanted to agree with what we're trying to do. But maybe because we were vicious, or maybe because we charged full steam ahead, maybe they're afraid to do that, and that's why they're intimidated. They like to blend into the background and just kind of let people into the promotion. I'm not that way. I don't believe everyone should have a chance in Beyond Wrestling. I don't think everyone deserves to have that opportunity. I think you need to work your way in. That's what the secret shows were about. You don't just get onto the main show and, like the MMA fighting match that just had just decided to have a major part in Beyond Wrestling all of a sudden. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Come on.
Seriously. And I know what you were saying, too,
Listen, I don't care what you say about those people.
Yeah. No, for sure. But I like what you were saying, too, you are a man of action and you don't necessarily rely on the talking, but I know that both of us, we've seen some of your videos online, a lot of the promo videos, and that you've cut some excellent promos, some excellent shoots, and so has there been a certain person or an individual that you sort of reflect on for your speaking skills? Like a lot of those just speeches you've delivered have been very eloquent and just very clear cut in delivering your messages.
Thank you very much. I would definitely attribute that to, let's say, 3 individuals off the top of my head. That's going to be the Nature Boy Ric Flair, who I grew up on. That was always my favorite professional wrestler growing up. I was never a Hulkamaniac. I never believed in the say your prayers, eat your vitamins. It just didn't come off as authentic to me.
Yeah.
But Ric Flair always came off as authentic. He always came off as Ric Flair. I mean, let's look at Hulk Hogan's life. I mean, honestly, the way his character was portrayed, is that how he really is?
Definitely not.
Right. You can wear the Hogan costume if you put on the tanner, but at the end of the day, it's not the same thing. Ric Flair was Ric Flair. Through and through. He exuded champion, he looked champion, he talked champion, he walked champion. I pride myself on that. So number 1 is Ric Flair. Number 2 is William Regal, who became a big influence for me as I really grew into my years. I started to understand about Lord Steven Regal and WCW, and then I was always kind of captured by his style, his eloquence, the robe just coming out. It didn't matter if it was Saturday night, WCW Saturday Night Thunder, something about him always caught my attention. And he didn't even need to talk to do it. So William Regal's number 2. And number 3 is Nick Bockwinkel. And Nick Bockwinkel was, in terms of AWA, I grew into him even later as I found out about the old territories, AWA, NWA, and he always compelled me just because he just knew what he was talking about. He just looked real, felt real, just genuine. Like the cameras, whether they were rolling or not, you felt like that was him. And that's what drew me deeper and deeper and deeper into wrestling. It started off with Flair, then progressed with more Regal, and then Nick Bockwinkel. Of course, may he rest in peace. But those 3 inspirational orators that helped me really kind of hone my craft.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like you said, I mean, a lot of those guys, those 3 men, they were sort of their characters. They weren't really characters. They were playing variations of themselves. And I know we had Slick Wagner Brown on the show like maybe a month or 2 ago, and he was saying that he didn't really envision his character as a character. It was more like himself with an exclamation point at the end. And I think that's really the best way to succeed in professional wrestling. You need to be yourself. And yeah, like those guys definitely did it. I mean, I think you did it too. And another thing I really like, Darius, about your character as well is, you know, the way you come out to the ring, the way you present yourself, you know, very like, almost like aristocratic as well. I know you have the scarf, but at the same time you do have the masks, so it's an interesting combination.
Yes, I appreciate it. I mean, it's all about the mind and how you want yourself to be seen. I am just naturally, you know that type of person. Sure, it's with a little bit of the volume turned up, an exclamation point, if you will. But I am a zestful person. I enjoy life and the luxuries that I've worked to afford. So of course I'll come out, kind of with that aura, with that golden aura that people have told me I have, the radiance. But that's just who I am. You know, I'm not trying to be that. I'm not coming out there trying to be something. That's just who I am. And it's overwhelming for some people. Some people are completely horrified of it, and that's their own issue.
Yeah. No, I agree. I mean, definitely your presence is awesome. Like, the way you come out there and present yourself. Whose idea was it for the masks and stuff of that nature? The whole costume.
But I made it. It just is.
That was you?
Well, I mean, yeah, it was me.
Taking full credit.
You have to understand, I spend so much time thinking about it. I'm always thinking about wrestling. I'm always thinking about ways to adapt, evolve, and overcome. Just look at me from the beginning of my tenure to beyond to now, for example. I started off wrestling in suit pants. I'd come out in a full suit and I'd wrestle in the pants.
Wow.
Because my mentality then was, I'm so above this that I don't even need to put on gear. I can beat you in suit pants. I can beat you in dress mode. That was my mentality then when I was 18, 19.
Yeah.
And you see the gradual evolution into the golden trunks, that era, and the golden scarf, and then it resonated to the black and gold, to emphasize my maturity. To emphasize the fact that I've taken everything in, because black is an absorbing color. I want that to resonate. The gold will always be part of me because gold is just my favorite aura. It's my favorite color. It's class, it's sophistication, it's wealth. But that black, it's not meant to just be a base color. It's meant to mean something, that I've taken and absorbed all of my experiences, and that's what made me who I am. And sure, I'm dark, and sure, I'm mysterious in many ways, but honestly, I tell you exactly who I am. I tell you what my intentions are, and for some reason that throws people off. People are confused, but I'm coming straight for you. It's exactly what the Crusade's about. I've told people time and time again what we stand for. It's as simple as that. If you don't know what change is, then you don't know what I'm fighting for. I can't teach you I can't teach you how to drink the water. I can bring you to the water. It's up to you to figure that out.
It's really awesome, the whole Crusade thing. I really enjoying it. The whole story behind it's just incredible. Now, what happens? Let's say once you guys make this change happen, where do you go from there?
That's been the question that a lot of people have been asking too. The quote unquote payoff.
Yeah.
What happens? But that's the whole thing. See, the Crusade is about getting to that level.
Mm-hmm.
And once you get to that Crusade level, once you get to the top, it's all about installing checks and balances and making sure that your plans continue to thrive and succeed. That's what I would be doing at Beyond Wrestling. I would literally, and I said it in an earlier interview, I would be hitting the reset button. I would be restarting and revamping the promotion of Beyond. Again, you would be having that ranking system where you would have to fight for every point. You'd have to fight for that right. It would be survival of the fittest. It would be not Coliseum-esque because that seems primitive, but it would be you show up to win and you win to succeed and to get that prominence. I would have things very, very, so again, just the Darwinism, just survival of the fittest, to bring about that change, because what made Beyond Wrestling so unique, what made Beyond Wrestling so interesting to begin with was that intimacy, having everyone, of course, close to the ring, having everyone fight to just to get that point, just to be +1. It meant so much. And that feeling has been lost. That feeling has been tossed aside, just for the quick, I don't want to say a quick pop.
Pretty much,
Yeah, that's what it is. It's that nostalgia that you don't get to taste the flavor anymore. It's just shoved down your throat, and it gets painful. You want to taste something because you want it to hit your taste buds. You want to feel the zest. You want to feel the different, the different vibrations, and that's what you want. And Beyond, and it's not just Beyond. It's pretty much everywhere. You have to step outside the box. You have to do something different. And I feel like there's a lot of, not complacency, because of course people are moving up. I wouldn't use that word, but it seems like it's just a circle effect where you move something up, you feel it, you feel its place, you move that thing up, you feel its place. There's no prosperity. It's just kind of a circle. And that's not good enough. A circle is not good enough. There needs to be a prosperity period. It's not happening.
Mm-hmm.
No, I agree. I mean, this kind of reminds me of as well. I know it's a little different in terms of what you guys are fighting for, but back in 2002 when the NWO came back to WWE, they were basically Vince McMahon wanted to kill the poison, which was Ric Flair's. Basically Ric Flair. He kind of had 50% of the company. Ric Flair started making things happen. Vince didn't like it, so Vince said, "Well, if this is happening, I'm gonna kill my creation. I know you guys, rather than kill it, you're trying to change it." My question is though, Vince supported the NWO. Does your promoter within Beyond support the Crusade for Change?
Good question, and I mean the answer is absolutely not. Absolutely not, because what the promoter thinks Beyond Wrestling is, and what I see it as, are two different things. Whereas the promoter may think that Beyond needs to evolve with the times and kind of adapt with what other promotions are doing, and try and not jump on that bandwagon, but kind of take those puzzle pieces and rearrange them in a different way. It's still the same puzzle. No matter how you fit the pieces, it's still the same overall picture, and that's the problem. There needs to be different pieces in play. That's what makes wrestling so entertaining. That's what makes it so fun and distinct. And Beyond, again, has said over and over again how they want to be the East Coast Pro Wrestling Gorilla. You don't need to be the East Coast anything. You need to be the first Beyond Wrestling.
Yeah.
And that is the problem. That's the misconception. And look at what Beyond used to be, what drove Beyond Wrestling, and look at it today. Look at developmental hell back in 2010, 11, what have you. Look back then versus to Beyond of 2015. It's not the same. It's not the same. That energy, granted, I'm not going to say the energy's not there for Beyond. I'm not going to take that away, but it was just special back then. It was distinct. You could taste it. You could feel it. You can almost touch it. And it's not there anymore. And that's what the Crusade's about, bringing back, which I know we can do, because look at what Beyond's going through right now with Finale.
Yeah.
Look at it. They're looking for the solution. And it's kind of like, here's the Crusade waving our hands. Like we've been saying it from the beginning. I think the promoter just doesn't want it to be us.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like, I don't want it to be Darius Carter. I don't want it to be TJ or the Minutemen. I don't want it to be Danny Only. I want it to be someone else. I want it to be Pazuzu. And it's like, it's not them. It just isn't. You can't create this. This is just, they're not the same type of things. And it's as simple as that.
Well, compared to because you're saying how it changed much from 2010-11 to now, would you say that with this change, being more modern, would you, Beyond Wrestling, following this modern day, would you think the numbers have increased, or the number of people in attendance, or do you think it's gone down?
That's an interesting question. I would say the better question is, what are you doing to maintain that attendance?
Yeah.
What are you doing to make people want to come back and see you? What are you doing to make people say, you know what, let me come to Providence, Rhode Island, which, I mean, let's face it, it's not a nice town.
Yeah.
It's just not. It's just not a nice town. And you're going to make people are coming from all over. It's not like these people are next door neighbors just walking over. These people are driving 2, 3, 4, 5 hours to come to this show.
Yeah.
Yep. We've done it.
Yeah, we know exactly what you mean. We're traveling from Massachusetts down near Boston. That's why our first show was Somerville, but we went to the Rhode Island one. Yeah, I know what you mean.
But that's what I'm saying, is what makes Beyond special. The Crusade for Change, and people want to hate on it. They want to shed it into a negative light. They want to put a negative spin on it. But guess what? We're something different. And maybe the Crusade for Change isn't for everyone, but there are fans that are looking for that story. They're looking for that capturing point, that gripping point. And let's be honest with you, the Crusade for Change is one of the only things going on in Beyond Wrestling that's actually focusing on Beyond Wrestling.
Yeah.
The Tournament for Tomorrow 4, that's an easy scapegoat, because then you immediately bring it back to, hey, let's care about Beyond again because it's a big tournament. But other than that, what is everyone fighting for? Again, why is Chris Hero there? What does he care? What is he there for? to face Donovan Dijak, to face JT Dunn? What is he there for? What would the Young Bucks be there for? What are you coming for? What's going to make you a regular Beyond Wrestling? That's what Beyond needs to find out. It's easy to show up one time, but in order to stay with the promotion and help build it, why are they staying there? And you can see, again, look at the normal roster. They're not, this roster right now, most of them weren't there in Ohio.
Yeah.
Most of them weren't there. They all peeled off and did their own thing. This roster is completely different. And if you look at yesteryear's roster versus today's roster, it's in terms of which roster is better. Not to put down today's roster, but back in that garage, there was some serious talents. Lamont Williams, Isaiah Bonds, John Bardeen, Jonah Block, Team Beyond, Chase Burnett, and Zane Silver.
Jeez.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Top to bottom, I don't think it's stacked like that in 2015. That's just my opinion. And I'm not even saying I'm best friends with those people. It's not like I call them or talk to them regularly.
Yeah.
But it's just acknowledging what it used to be versus what it is now.
Of course. I think as well, this change is really good. And like you said, it's one of the few things actually happening for Beyond Wrestling, right now. There's not many other things. The matches are incredible. The matches, I believe, from the past two events we went to, are the best of the best. But
the matches are superb.
Yeah, but I think, like you say, there needs to be that purpose, kind of. I think because you don't know, is this person going to show up for this show, and then, you might not see them at the next show, I know Ciampa's one of the guys who've been wrestling with Beyond from before, but he'll be at the Fet finale as well. But then you might not see Ciampa at the ones after that, following this next event. So I think continuation is definitely very important. Also, your promos, and you're definitely incredible at speaking. I think Beyond should definitely capitalize on that. I would like to see on the website more promos being done, more story driven things that take you to the match. That way, when you're watching the match, not only do you have the excellent athletes that you see now, but you have a story behind it as well, and there's something that captivates you. There's something that gives you a reason to want to find out, to care. I really hope this person wins. I really hope this person loses. When I watch the matches now, it's both of them are 10 out of 10 in the ring. But it doesn't really matter who wins or loses. It's just, it's not like I want one guy to win more than the other. So, and I think also a definitive roster, definitive roster on Beyond would be cool to have on the website as well, just the roster, so I know who's with the company, who's not, because like you say, there's a lot of guys that just come and go, and it's kind of hard to keep track of who's the main guys. Add a little bio, saying about each superstar, that way we can learn more about each wrestler's backstory. And that's why we love doing these interviews, because find out so much about you guys that we would have never known if we didn't do these. So it's awesome to know.
Yeah, no, that's agreeable. And again, that's just basics in terms of how to establish yourself, how to establish your brand. And granted, again, it's not to say that Beyond hasn't taken some measures. We do have Look Mono fans, and they did have that roster page, but it is outdated. And again, there needs to be motivations as to why those people are there, and that's on Beyond Wrestling to provide it to your wrestlers. Granted, I know why I'm there, and others know why they're there in a sense. But again, what's going to keep Chris Hero coming back? Why would Chris Hero come back every month? Why would Ciampa come back every month? Why, or even anyone else, for that matter? Why would JT Dunn keep coming back? What are we fighting for, David Starr? What are we looking to accomplish? And again, if you're not going to have championship belts, which is fine because you don't need to, you need to have something that's driving people to want to come back to this. You have to keep something looming over their head to make them return. And you made a valid point. Again, Tommaso Ciampa, great, we get to see him once, but where's the follow-up? Why do we care who wins that match? That's the problem. It's so much great wrestling everywhere. Everyone's a great wrestler, but where's the storytelling? Where's the gripping connections? Where's the gotcha kind of feel? It's missing. It's missing. And that's what we're looking to do. That's what My Crusade is looking to do. We always want to be different than the rest of the card. Everyone's going to deliver a 5-star match. Sure, we want to deliver a 5-star match, but we want to get across a different message than the other matches.
Yeah. So Darius.
That's what we wanted out of that. Our match with Tremendous, Colt Cabana, and Dick Justice was supposed to be different. Was supposed to feel different than the others. Yes, it was an 8-man war, but it was about the status quo. It was about the changing of the guard with Beyond Wrestling. It's about the people who were there from the beginning versus the guys that kind of came in and got that ride. And I'm not saying Team Tremendous hasn't worked hard. I'm not going to say they haven't done what they had to do, but they weren't Beyond originals. They didn't start. They came in from other places and used Beyond to elevate themselves. They cut the line.
That's true.
So there is
Colt Cabana. It's Colt Cabana. It's Colt Cabana.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Yeah. So Darius, what was it exactly about your team members in Crusade for Change that sort of got you guys all together? What was that one link and that one bond that made you feel like, all right, these are the guys that I need on my side to go to war?
Oppression and the willingness to fight back. The first person in My Crusade was Bonesaw Jessie Brooks, and of course she was tough. She seemed to stand her ground, but she was really the only member that didn't make it because she wasn't strong enough. She didn't have that willpower to fight against the system. It takes a lot to be a member of the Crusade. You have to constantly fight. You have to stand up for what you believe in because the weight is on our shoulders and there's cinder blocks that are tied to our ankles. Trust me, there's a majority of people in Beyond, outside of Beyond, that want us to drown just so that they don't have to hear it anymore. They don't want to hear the truth. People just want to keep going, and they just want to keep going until they fall off the bridge to their death. They don't want to be told. They don't want to read the warning signs. No one wants to read the warning signs and have to stop what they're doing. They want to ignorantly charge ahead and fall to their death. It makes no sense. What we're doing is we're spreading a positive a message that needs to be listened to. We're saying something that makes perfect, logical sense. And if you listen to us from the beginning, you wouldn't be in the situation that you're in. You wouldn't be confused like Beyond Wrestling is right now. You wouldn't be entering 2016 unsure of which venues are going to run you or not run you because you would have planned ahead. You would have had a game plan to know what's coming next. That's what Beyond Wrestling failed at, and that's what we've been saying time after time after time. Build your foundation. A house cannot stand without a foundation. But it seems like Beyond Wrestling is pulling out the rug from under themselves, and then they're looking around wondering why. And it's not just Beyond. This is happening everywhere with different promotions. You can only blame yourself when these things happen. You blame yourself.
Yeah, it's also like taking away the freedom of the wrestlers as well, because I know Mick Foley was saying this as well. Back in the day, wrestling, you used to go out there and just kind of be yourself, say whatever you want. Now everything is so strict and things aren't as free as they were before, so that's another thing.
Oh, sure. And that's what Beyond Wrestling was back then. And I understand when you have fans and when you adapt to a show format, you can't, go by the same off-key. You can't go by the same kind of wild and crazy or let it all loose mentality. I get that. But there needs to be a consensus among all of the wrestlers in the locker room and the promoter of what you're trying to accomplish with this promotion. I think that there's a lot of people in the Beyond roster that are there just to be there. They don't particularly know why they're there, but they wrestle their match, have a great match, and kind of go home and come back 2 months later or 3 months later. That's cute, but I'm here to help Beyond grow to some, because Beyond could be the biggest promotion and one of the biggest indie promotions in the world if it wanted to be. It could be, or at the very least, the United States. You know, I'm not trying to speak in hyperbole. I'm just trying to say this is something that could be, Beyond could be a huge, huge concept. And again, Beyond's been successful, but Beyond hasn't touched the level of success it can truly be at. It just needs to get out of its own way. It's got to stop cutting off its own nose to spite its face. It's not how you proceed. You can't have progress by cutting yourself at the knees and then crawling. It's not going to get you anywhere. And that's what Beyond, it's a painful lesson they're going to have to learn, you know, because I'm going to be sitting here saying, I told you so. Now you're going to come to me and say, Darius Carter, what do we do? What do you think you do? Yeah. And now I kind of want to see you bleed out.
Yeah.
So Darius, just kind of like looking forward, we know definitely what your goals are for Crusade for Change, but individually for yourself, what do you see as your long-term goals for the future?
Long-term goals are to travel the world. You know, I definitely want to be wrestling over in Japan, wrestling over in Europe, do some stints. I am a wrestler at heart, so I want to travel. I want to wrestle in rings all over the globe. And then, of course, you know, I want to have that big contract, the big promotion, of course. Mm-hmm. Of course. I'm not in a rush because I want to gather as much experience as I can. I want to be as well versed as possible so that once my time comes, I'm ready to jump into any situation they give me. Again, I'm very adaptable. I change with the times, and I don't lose myself. That's another thing that happens. A lot of people kind of get straddled with something and they just throw their hands up in the air and just kind of lose themselves. I'll never surrender the core being of Darius Carter. I'll never surrender who I am. And that's what's made me such a popular, or I should say infamous, wrestler.
Yep.
You know, it's because I don't compromise. I do not give myself up for you or for anyone, and I never will. And that's what's going to make me, again, different. That's what's going to make me more valuable. That's what's going to make me a hot commodity, is the fact that I stick to my guns. No matter how hot the kitchen gets, no matter how brutal you want to get with me, you can back me into a corner. I am who I am.
So, in terms of like your in-ring wrestling style, who would you say is maybe the biggest influence on your career so far?
In-ring wrestling, it's mostly the European style. It's the catch as catch can, the Greco-Roman, and amateur wrestling style. William Regal is my go-to immediately. And I say that because everything he does, it makes sense, it matters.
Mm-hmm.
He'll take your finger and he'll put your hand in between the apron and the ring steps and he'll kick it. And now you can't grab him with your left hand. And then he starts working your right hand and he starts working your knees. Next thing you know, your body feels like gelatin, and then he finishes you off. I mean, it's very scientific, very strategic, and that's how I enjoy my wrestling. And that's what makes me able to defeat a guy that's taller than me, stronger than me, bigger than me, because I'm not the biggest guy. I'm not the strongest guy. But am I the smartest guy? I would like to say that I am, because I always find a way. You know, like if I see an eye exposed, an ear exposed, I will do what I have to do to get out of that hold and to get the advantage on you. And I don't think a lot of people look to that anymore. I don't think a lot of people... I don't think people break things down. I think people just kind of want to get their moves off, and they kind of want to hit this dive and hit that splash and hit this kick and throw that punch and hit this suplex. I'm aware at all times. If you pin me near the ropes, my foot's on there. Or if you hit me with a move near the ropes, I'm rolling out before you can pin me. I'm just one of those people. I just would rather work the ring than worry about working my maneuvers and working, and working my opponent to make people cheer for me. That's not my style.
Yeah, you have to work smart, not hard. And I like how you referenced Regal as one of your influences too. I mean, he can really do it all. I mean, even that match I know he had with Cesaro maybe like 2 years ago down in NXT was incredible. It was just a lot of grappling, a lot of holds, a lot of reversals. So he was a technical, classic wrestler. But at the same time, you never knew when Regal might be holding those brass knuckles down his shorts. So.
Of course, I think him and Dean Ambrose was my favorite thing on NXT.
Yeah,
and they had 2 matches, but they spanned this storyline that was so unique and so deep. Just with William Regal, I was talking about this on another podcast, but I'll touch up here because it's just such a beautiful thing. Where William Regal was he was the general manager at the time, and Dean Ambrose was the lunatic, wild, out of control, loose cannon that he's always been. He attacks Regal, and Regal kind of has this tear in his eye while he's cutting a promo in the dark, and he's talking about how Dean had awakened this demon inside of him. He brought a tear of joy to this man's eye by attacking him because he reminded him of the old William Regal. So then you see the old William Regal, versus this lunatic, and it just, the combustible elements, it was like it didn't even matter what they did because they had you at the story, and that's the wrestling that I care about. Again, of course I want to put on a quality match, and I want to be a 5-star. Of course I want to be a 5-star match, sure, but I want that story. That's what makes a 5-star match, not moves, what they mean, what you're fighting for, what the end goal is. That's what makes a spectacular match, and that's why I do what I do, the way I do it.
Well, I completely agree. I mean, this is basically a majority of our show every week because Raw, SmackDown, we got to touch up on that. Unfortunately, we have to go through and talk about the results, and we're just saying, we're going down the card, giving our listeners the results, and we're just like, well, all right, he won, but had no purpose. So what we end up doing is, if it's some random put-together match with no purpose at all, which...
Squash match,
shower match, because I used to, if you got work the next morning and you got to get ready for bed, you want to take a shower, we call it a shower match, because it's just so bad to watch. The thing is there's 9 times out of 10 there's no matches with a purpose. So we would just go through the list and we'll be like, all right, this person won, but it really doesn't matter. Nothing's gonna happen because of this, and that's most of the show in WWE now, and it's so sad because there's no meaning behind it, really.
Right, but that's not just a WWE problem. That's a professional wrestling problem. That's a state of professional wrestling issue. Again, that people are going to be there week after week. What are they there for, and what does it mean to have that accolade? And bring it back to Beyond. Again, Donovan Dijak, he's going to be there every month, win, lose, or draw. So the investment in him right now is being a great wrestler. That's wonderful. But guess what? Let's say he gets moved up. Let's say he gets called up. They're just going to get another great wrestler to take his place in Beyond Wrestling. Yeah. It's like this. There's no solution. It's just filled, and that's what I mean about the circle conversation earlier. It's one guy moves up, you move another in his place. He moves up, you move another in his place. Instead of assessing the year, instead of assessing the problems with professional wrestling, instead of addressing the here and now, it's just kind of like, well, you know what? Let's just move this up while it's hot. And once that kind of loses its star, let's grab another rising star, get him hot, burn out. Get it? Where is the slow build? Where are the character evolutions? Where is the elevation working your way up? It's not there anymore. It's just everyone gets the quick shot, they burn out. Quick shot, burn out. that's what Beyond is suffering from, and that's what so many promotions are suffering from. So many people are just kind of stagnant and sitting there, while others are just hogging the glass, not hogging the glass ceiling, but they're hogging the top, and it's just kind of floating there.
Yeah.
And nobody gets to breathe.
I agree with you. Another thing too is I was going to ask, is Beyond like probably the promotion you work with the most, or?
Beyond is at this time,
Okay.
but again, they're let's say once a month, and there's many places I'm doing once a month at. So I guess it depends how you look at it. Warriors of Wrestling and has been very supportive of me for well over a year now. Tier 1 I just started with. I have my debut match tomorrow. I did a live contract signing in my debut show with them. There's also Five Borough Wrestling, where the Crusade for Change is getting to really kind of dig in and let loose the way that we kind of wish we could in many ways at Beyond Wrestling. It's working out. I have some really good things lined up for 2016. I'm grateful to be able to be wrestling where I'm wrestling and have those opportunities. Be able to promote. They're promoting me. It's a beautiful thing. I take it step by step. Again, I'm not trying to run or rush anything. That's how you get injured.
Yeah.
Whether it's physically or mentally, that's how you get hurt. I'm just taking my time and enjoying the ride. Things are just coming up for me, just like this podcast. People are reaching out to me. They want me on their shows. They want me on their podcasts. It's happening positively, so I'm not going to fight that.
What is your thought on, because from the events I've saw for Beyond Wrestling, what are your thoughts on like the events without stipulations? Like you don't see many tables matches or ladder matches within Beyond. From what I saw, would you want more of that, or?
I want more meaning to the match.
Mm-hmm.
So if the table match, for example, is in the context of a feud, then yes, make it a table match. But you can't just throw out a table match. It just wouldn't make sense. Let's say we see, Team Tremendous versus the Hoods in a tables match. It's like, yeah, but why?
Of course.
There needs to be a reason why. If you're going to have a ladder match, there needs to be something to grab up there. Or what are they grabbing? Is it a contract? Is it a number one contender's contract? Is it a championship? There needs to be something hanging above. So Beyond Wrestling is missing meaning to their matches. It's not that they need to go through the match types. Because, Matt Tremont is hitting Stockade over the head with a cinder block. What more can you ask for? It's just matches need to mean more. That's what Dijak is going to run into. Dijak is going to run into what else can Dijak do other than have a great match. And that's not saying anything against him. It's just the way it is. There needs to be more. There needs to be more evolution. What is there to JT Dunn other than hitting a bunch of roaring elbows and hitting a bunch of moves and having a good match? There needs to be more. That's what Beyond is. It needs to find that out. It needs to go back to the well and figure out what's going on.
Yep.
I agree.
Yep. So Darius, I think we're gonna try to get you out of here, but we'll get you out on a 2-part question. So, first part is, what is your favorite match that you've been a part of so far? The second part is, who would be your dream opponent?
Favorite match? I'm gonna have to say War Games. From the real thing, just because it was so different. Just because, sure, it was a cage, but that match was just so different. It was storytelling in a bottle. Everything just made sense. I made sure that everyone in the Crusade came out in the proper order. It started out with Devin because I wanted to see Devin out there. He's one of my little shining stars in the Crusade. I wanted to see how he'd go. And then, of course, out comes Tommy Trainwreck, and then out comes TJ Marconi, the Giant, to kind of alleviate, to throw him in there to take control. Then you have Danny Only, who's the wild card. And then you have me to help clean everything up. It was an incredible match. It was the first cage match Beyond Wrestling ever had, and it's probably the only cage match Beyond Wrestling will ever have, because they were very skeptical going into it, about the cage and the height of the cage. And the Fett has those globes up top, so
Sure, yeah.
There was a lot of concern about the cage, so they'll likely never do it again. So I'm a part of history there.
Yep.
And if they do a cage, they won't do War Games.
War Games, that's something else.
And think about this, by the way. We followed Samoa Joe and Chris Dickinson. Samoa Joe was hot.
Yep.
He hasn't been hot. And it's not to say anything about Samoa Joe, but he hasn't been that hot since.
Yep.
That period was a very hot period for him when he was going to NXT, when he first started.
Yep.
Him and Chris Dickinson, we followed them.
Yep.
So, and it was our first Beyond Wrestling main event at the Fett Music Arena, so it meant a lot to me to be able to have that chance. Win, lose, or draw, it meant so much to be able to go out there for promotion you've been with since the beginning, and to finally get that main event spot, at the big venue. I mean, we had a main event before All Aboard, me and Marconi, when we faced in the Last Man Standing match, which was the first weekend that Beyond Wrestling ran live events for fans. So I'm actually a big part of history with Beyond. It seems like every cornerstone I've been there. Myself and TJ, of course, Marconi as well.
Yep.
So yes, absolutely.
Wow, that's pretty incredible. Yeah, you faced one of your key allies in the Last Man Standing match. To go from that and now you're partners in crime, that's pretty incredible.
That's how it works. Your best friend is your worst enemy, and vice versa. Nobody knows TJ like I know TJ, and really nobody knows me like he does. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of depth in my mind. There's a lot to understand. And nobody wants to unlock those doors more than I do, but TJ is the closest one to me of anyone in wrestling. So he knows, how I can operate. He helped, conceive in terms of the mask, because he's big on he's big on those type of marketing and things of that nature. So he's applied his own, his own advantages, his own pros into the crusade. So it's been good to see people contribute. They care so much about my cause that they contribute their ideas as well.
That's awesome. Yeah, we're gonna be having TJ on the show, I believe, next Thursday. So that should be pretty cool.
Oh, TJ's wonderful. Like I said, no one's beaten him up worse than I have, but no one has been by his side more than I have, and vice versa. And to answer your second question in terms of the dream opponent, dream opponent, I don't really believe in that term because it's overdone, it's overused, and I feel like you kind of you have to get to a certain point to use that term.
Yep.
But the two people I want to wrestle immediately, and I answer this another question, Zack Sabre Jr. and Drew Galloway.
Oh wow, yep.
I want Zack Sabre Jr. just because I just want to wrestle. We don't need to worry about anything else. I want to wrestle with that man. I've seen him using Jim Breaks arm techniques in terms of twisting the arm. He bends ligaments. He bends body parts. I want to outbend him. I want to take his ankle and use it to beat his own head in. That's what I want to do. He's this elastic kind of rubbery guy. I just want to bend him, and just see him submit. So that's one thing. I want to have that wrestling contest in all seriousness. And then Drew Galloway is just. Yeah, and I've actually had like a thing, in terms of like a meeting with him at Warriors of Wrestling. I actually was doing my entrance, and he just comes up to me. I kid you not. He comes up behind me in the middle of my entrance, and he's like, "One day." Kind of goes to the back. So he's an odd guy, but I want to face him because he's hard hitting. He's a vicious guy. And I'm vicious, and I want to test that viciousness that he's been there to WWE. He's been Intercontinental champion. He's held championships. He's been all over the world. I want to test my own medal against him. I want to see what he has against me. So it's two different reasons, but those are the two people I have my eyes on at this time. Absolutely.
I was wondering, have you watched Impact recently? TNA Impact, probably within the last 6 months.
Absolutely. I watch everything. I really, I really do. I watch everything.
Yeah, Drew Galloway had that stand up for professional wrestling, so it's kind of similar to what you're going. It would be awesome to see. Yeah, I know he's not doing it anymore, but it would be awesome if that was the story between you versus him, kind of like two people standing up for change, and standing up for professional wrestling. It would be awesome to see that.
All right. Well, for the immediate jab, I mean, his partners left him.
Yeah.
So how strong of a leader is he? Right.
Yeah.
Got it.
But no. In all seriousness, yes. I would love to see that too. I mean, listen, people want a change in wrestling. Am I the first person in history to want a change in wrestling? No, but the way that I present it is different. And I would love to see what Drew brings to the table. Of course, in terms of stand-up for professional wrestling, I've seen Drew's promos, I've seen what he's talking about, but I'm going deeper. The crusade is deeper. I don't want to just stand up for wrestling. I want to stand up for practicality, for morality, for progression. I don't know if Drew is that deep-minded of a guy. And again, that's something for us to kind of test out. That's for us to see in the future. But change versus stand-up, crusade for change versus stand-up. If you can find Micah and Eli Drake somewhere.
Yeah. They're probably sitting at the bottom of the title tournament on Impact right now.
Whatever that means. So again, listen, I'll bring TJ Marconi, I'll bring the Minutemen, I'll bring Danioli, I'll bring mine, you bring yours. I would love something like that to happen.
That'd be awesome. I would love to see you guys on TV, especially after hearing this whole backstory. I mean, look, at this point, I wish I was a wrestling owner and promoter. I would just pay you guys to run the show, basically. It's incredible. I've never heard a wrestler with such a deep mindset for the actual purpose behind it. There's wrestlers that go out there and do what they do, and they love what they do, but it's very... sometimes you'll get those answers like, I just like wrestling, it's something I love, and it's genuine. When you say what you want to do, it's genuine, and that's your actual thought, that's your, and there's no hiding from it. You just come out and say it how it is, so I think that's really awesome.
And it makes me controversial. Like I said, I'm a very controversial people. Listen, there's a very controversial person, pardon me.
Mm-hmm.
People, as I was mending my sentences together, people are envious of that because they want to say what I'm saying maybe, but they don't have the chutzpah, they don't have the strength to say it. And then maybe those people are bigger than me. Maybe those people have the TV athletic bodybuilder type of frame, but they just can't compete in the ring. Maybe there's something missing in themselves that makes them despise me or dislike me, and that's their problem. Again, I'm going to stand up for what I believe in to the very end because that's all you have is yourself at the end of the day and your belief. You can't. If someone can take that away from you, then you might as well not have a name. You might as well be a number and have a barcode that's tattooed to your wrist. That's not who I am. I'm not 1 in a million. I'm not 1 in 100. I'm not 1 in 10. I'm 1 in 1, and that's what makes me different. And that's what makes me committed, devoted, dedicated to the Darius Carter brand. So, and to change. So people can hate and dislike. And people can love and cheer, whatever they want to do with me. That's their business. I'm out there to be the best, period.
That's totally understandable. Have you guys ever had anybody within the Crusade of Change, turn on you guys? Stick with you guys first and then basically saying, well, no, that's not really what we want to stand for, and then go against?
That's an interesting question. Everyone that has joined my Crusade for Change, trust me, I know them better than they know themselves. I studied the Minutemen before I gave them an invitation into my Crusade for Change. Mm-hmm. Before they joined us, at the tournament for tomorrow weekend, I knew everything about them, and I don't even think the Minutemen know. They don't know as much about me as TJ does.
Mm-hmm.
Just like Danny only knows only a certain amount, and it's not to say that I've distanced them from me. In fact, they're closer to me than anyone in the business. The Crusade for Change, that is my I guess you could say family figure in a sense in terms of professional wrestling. But I always have a way. I always have a fail-safe. No matter if I know you, I know a way to take you out. And that's just because I can't risk myself being eliminated. I'm the leader of a revolutionary stable. Of course people are going to have a target on my back. But I've got a target on your back, and you think you have one on mine. I have to look out for myself. Trust me, I have a fail-safe, and that's where I'll leave it, because I don't want to make it seem like, I don't want to make it seem like we're not. I don't want to take that imagery away of us being familial. But at the day's end, I have to come first. My idea has to come first. Change comes first. And if someone has to go in order for change to happen, that's the way it will go down. But the Crusade right now, it's so tightly knit. It's stronger than ever. We've got members that are beyond the members you know about. You only know about the Minutemen and Devin, and you only know about the Minutemen and Danny only. I was about to say the Minutemen and Devin Blaze. But you only know about the Minutemen, Danny only, and TJ Marconi. There's more of us out there, wearing the mask as it is. In Five Girl Wrestling, there's Stockade and Anthony Gangone. And then we have Aiden Ball as well, Braden Knight. The ranks are growing. You'll see them come out in 2016. Let's put it that way.
That's awesome. I mean, if I was a wrestler, I kind of want to get a mask and join too. It's awesome.
Thank you. A lot of people do. And trust me, I get a lot of my. I got my lovely secretary comes to me. I get all this mail all the time, and I don't even read it anymore, which I guess is vicious with me. But people want to wear the mask. And I say, buy one from TJ Marconi. What do you want me to tell you?
Yeah, do you guys have much merchandise for the Crusade for Change? Because I'll buy it.
We do. I know TJ Marconi, again, he's big on that. On the merchandising. I preferred not to, just because I don't want to take pictures with people and smile and gallivant with people, because I don't like people. So I'm not going to pretend like I do just to make $20 off of you.
Yeah.
But, absolutely, if I can set a system in place. I've helped TJ in terms of establish that business aspect, because obviously I'm a businessman. So, I'll do the behind the scenes funneling the money, setting up everything. But I don't want to be out there pretending like I want to be in this picture with you.
Yeah.
But sure, you can buy the mask. There are some shirts that are out by Digital Wolf, which is a big supporter of ours. They're on Twitter. We have places that are recommending these shirts for us, and they develop the shirts. If you want to, go right ahead.
Yeah. That's awesome.
You won't catch me after my match. At the merch table. Come on.
You actually, I remember when you came by. That's when we first met you. It was at was it Powder Cake in Somerville? You came by our table and you actually got one of our pens. I'll never forget it. You took one of our pens and you put it in you stuck it in your trunk. So I thought
William Regal.
Yeah. With the
I was
breast.
going to use it as a weapon, I'm sure.
That's what I was hoping. I was telling Kevin here, I was like, imagine if he just uses this pen in the match and stabs someone in the eye.
Great promotion.
And he wins by using a stack card pen as a weapon. That'd be awesome.
You never know. Maybe down the road we'll help you out. We'll hook you up with some memorabilia you can pull out in the match.
Right. Well, yeah. If you stand close enough to a Beyond Wrestling ring, I'll eye you out. Just be discreet, hand me a pen, and it'll be driven into someone's earlobe. And then when I win the match, I'll toss you the pen back.
Sounds like a plan. All right, Darius. Well, thanks so much for joining us. It looks like your entire career is on the rise. You have a lot of big things lined up, and it was a blast talking to you. So thanks for coming on.
It's been my pleasure. I apologize for not getting this camera to really work the way I wanted it to.
It's all right.
It's okay.
But hopefully you can see the words.
Oh yeah, loud and clear. And before you head out, do you want to just plug social media real quick? You are very active on Facebook and Twitter, and I don't know if there are any other sites too.
Nah, yeah, I'm basic. I'm Facebook and Twitter. I don't have an Instagram just because I don't want to take pictures of my life.
Yeah, I'm with you.
I just don't. Same thing with Snapchat. I had Snapchat for 5 minutes, and I was like, forget it. People want to send me all this stuff. I don't even care. I was like, forget it, and I deleted it. So, Facebook and Twitter work the best. Just / Mr. Darius Carter. I'm always on Twitter, and I have them linked up. So when I post on Twitter, I post on Facebook because I can't always be on. But I try to engage social media as much as I can because I love seeing my face on posters. So,
all right, there you go.
So to immediately plug, tomorrow, December the 4th, I will be in Deer Park, New York for Tier 1 Wrestling, the Darius Carter Invitational, the Brass Ring Invitational. I should say, you can check that out. And then the 12th, I will be at Warriors Wrestling in Staten Island, New York, 3555 Victory Boulevard. You can also look that up. I'll be facing Jesse Brooks for the No Limits Championship. I won that earlier this year. And if by winning this championship, I'd be the third person in the promotion's 8-year history to ever win the championship more than once.
Wow.
So that's a big deal. That's December the 12th. December the 18th is Five Borough Wrestling, the Crusade for Change. I will be facing an opponent to be announced. So far, TJ Marconi and Stockade of the Crusade, they're facing Milk Chocolate. And then Anthony Gangone of the Crusade is facing Sanjay Dutt.
Wow.
I will be facing an unnamed opponent. I'm sure it's going to be a big named opponent. Mm-hmm. It's the Crusade for Change Challenge Series, so check that out. And then the 27th is the Fete finale, which the Crusade for Change predicted years ago. And I'm sure we're going to be doing something, whether we have a match or not. Maybe we'll just burn everything to the ground.
Well, I mean, Fete, what are your thoughts about leaving Fete?
It is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
It's an evolutionary step. Beyond has to find itself. And Fete isn't the right place for Beyond right now because Beyond needs to find the right place for Beyond. I don't think it's fully one place or the other. I think sometimes you need to separate and you need to clear your mind, clear your head, and then you can come back. I don't think Fete is out of the picture forever. It's not like this catastrophic event happened. It's just they both need a break from each other.
Yeah.
You just need to get out. Beyond needs to get out there. We should be able to compete in more than one place.
Yeah.
That's the fault of Beyond Wrestling over the years straying away from itself. So it is what it is. There's nothing you can do about it except just kind of go with the times. Just evolve and be the best you can be so that when they call upon somebody to deliver, you're there, you're first in line. And that's what I've been for over 5 years. I've always been that guy. Whether it's facing Marty Bell, it burst your bubble, facing Drew Gulak, they call me, I answer, I deliver. That's it.
Yep. All right. Well said. All right. Well, we appreciate the time and definitely look forward to seeing you down the road at various wrestling events. So, thanks very much, Darius.
Thanks a ton. We're going to try to get out to Rhode Island. Yeah, Rhode Island the 27th, but we know you guys are coming down to Somerville, so that's going to be pretty cool. That's a real good venue as well, so.
That's where I faced Timothy Thatcher.
Yeah.
Current Evolve champion. Yeah, so that was great. That was one of the best moments of my life. So, and there's more to come. That's just the beginning. So I'm sure I'll face him again. So that's just the tip of the iceberg. So thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Awesome.
Right.
Thank
Well,
you for coming on.
Right.
Thanks.
Take care.
All right.
So there you have it. Mr. Darius Carter, and which was one of my favorite interviews ever because it's like he read my mind. It's everything I've been saying through this whole 25-week podcast was just summed up in an hour and 10 minutes. I love this guy. Like, he knows what wrestling needs. And honestly, I love Beyond Wrestling. Beyond Wrestling's incredible. I think he does too, because he wants to make it better. And so it's not like he's bashing them. So I think he just has a way where he knows how to make it better. And I think listening to his ideas could really help an organization. You know, I mean, yeah, it's good to have, you know, I mean, tomorrow night we're interviewing Dijak, so that should be interesting on what he thinks about the whole situation. Not what Darius Carter said necessarily, but like, how does he feel about wrestling a match and then the match over and then he just goes and wrestles someone else with no, you know, like, does he feel like there's a purpose behind it? Does he feel like there's a reason to? So that's going to be nice to pick his brain a little tomorrow. He's an awesome guy. Yeah, man, he summed it up so well.
Definitely, yeah. It was nice hearing that refreshing side of things. You know, it's nice hearing the honesty too.
Yeah.
So you don't always hear that from wrestlers. So it was kind of cool getting Darius' side. And yeah, I mean, the guy has a great brain for the industry. So
I mean, we pretty much did a whole podcast with him. I'd like to get him on the show, like, live.
Yeah.
Imagine.
Oh hell yeah, of course.
Where does it say he's from? Maybe he could fly in or something. That'd be incredible. Or driving. I mean, goes to Rhode Island for FET. I don't see why he couldn't come to Stackard Studios.
Dallas, Texas, right?
Yeah. So, yeah, I'm just so happy after that.
Yep, so tomorrow, Donovan Dijak, and maybe a wrap-up of the week, and...
Maybe you gotta go home and take a nap.
Yeah,
12:17 on a weekday, and let's just say
let's end it now.
I'm gonna have to wake up at like 8 too. So.
All right, end it. That's it. Darius Carter interview. On to tomorrow. Donovan Dijak.
Not the tournament
25.
for tomorrow.
Yeah. All right. Well, everybody, have a great night. We love you very much. Bada bing, bada boom. That's it. Stackard interview is done. Cut. Bye.
Oh, that was such a good interview. Bye-bye. Oh, look, the ads.
Oh, wow, the ads. The brand.
We'll talk about South Park and the ads tomorrow night. And you could get my take and Kevin's take on what we thought of the show this week. I just want to keep talking. All right. Peace.